Good morning, student. Today's is the second part of the chapter number 3, that is constitutional design. In the previous part, we have learned about the making of constitution in South Africa. So, framing of constitution in South Africa, need of the constitution in that country. So, there is a variation in the needs or the demand for the making of constitution in South Africa and India. We are learning the making of constitutions in these two countries because they are one of the best constitutions of the world. Now, in the second part, we are going to learn about the making of Indian constitution. So, as I have already told you that Indian constitution, it was not an easy task like that of South Africa. It is also very difficult in the sense that India is having a huge population and there is a lot of diversity that is existing in India. Second, the Britishers, they left the India independent with the rulers, and the rulers of the princely states, they were left with the decision whether they want to merge with India or with Pakistan or want to remain independent. Constitution makers, they were anxious about the present and future of the nation also. So, the making, that is the path of the constitution, it was quite difficult, but still there was an advantage that we have already created a consensus about the what Indian democratic working would be after independence, and the consensus of creating Indian constitution, it has already evolved during the freedom struggle. So, different views regarding the path of India should take after independence, and the basic ideas that are to be accepted by all, it was already been decided, and that was the base of the Indian constitution. After that, discussion of various important topics were being made. The first draft was presented in 1928. Motilal Nehru and 8 other Congress leaders, they drafted the constitution for India in the year 1928. At the Karachi session, the Indian National Congress, it presented in 1931. The leaders, they decided how the Indian constitution should look like. Main features like universal adult franchise, right to freedom, rights of minorities, and some important topics like this were already discussed. So, basic values were accepted by leaders much before the Constituent Assembly of the Constitution was being framed. So, the Constituent Assembly, the institutional evolution, that is how the institution was being made, that is in the year 1937, elections for provisional legislatures and the ministers were held all over British India. The experienced political institutions they gained by Indians, they proved to be very useful for the institutional design of the constitution. So, the Indian constitution adopted many institutional details that were of the working of the British government. So, we accepted some of the laws, that is the colonial laws, like the Government of India Act 1935. So, some of the working laws which were beneficial, we accepted them as such. So, after years of thinking, discussions, leaders got confidence, they got learning inspirations from various movements like French Revolution, Socialist Revolution of the Russia, practice of parliamentary democracy that was done in Britain, Bill of Rights in the US. So, all these laws and these reforms were studied by our leaders. So, our leaders were not simply imitating them. We were inspired by them, but we had not imitated them. That means we have not copied them as such, but we were questioning whether these things, whatever those movements were saying, they were suited for our country or not. And that was a part of the discussion that held for the making of the Indian Constitution. Now, about the Constituent Assembly, the Constituent Assembly of India that drafted the Constitution, it was the elections to the Constituent Assembly, it was held in the year 1946 in July. The first meeting was held in December 1946. After partition of India and Pakistan, the Constituent Assembly was divided into Constituent Assemblies of India and of Pakistan separately. So, Constituent Assembly that wrote the Indian Constitution consisted of 299 members. So, the Assembly adopted Constitution on 26th November 1949 and it came into effect on 26th January 1950. Why we accepted 26th January 1950 as we had already decided it to be our Independence Day. So, on that day we celebrate our Republic Day every year. Now, legitimacy of Indian Constitution, why we are accepting the Constitution that was written so many years back is the main point. Now, we are accepting the Constitution that was written about more than 70 years because it not only reflects the views of the members, but it also expresses a broad consensus of its time. That means acceptance, a general agreement of the time. That means everybody was accepting the Constitution that was written way back 70 years. The Constitution over the last many years, several groups they have questioned some of the provisions of the Constitution, but no large social group or any political party have ever questioned its legitimacy. Legal way of working of the Constitution has never been questioned in India. This is an unusual achievement because most of the countries, some of the laws are being questioned by one or the other way. So, it is because many of the countries they have to write their constitution afresh, means again, because their basic values they were not accepted to the major social group or sometimes by the political parties that came into being in the future years. So, in some countries constitution is just a piece of paper, that means nobody accept whatever is written in the constitution. The working government of a country, if it is not accepting the constitution, then it's like a piece of paper. Now, another reason for accepting the Constitution of India is that the Constituent Assembly it represented the people of India. It could not be chosen directly by all the people as there was no universal adult franchise at that time. So, the members, the Constituent Assembly members, they were elected by the members of the provisional legislatures, because at that time elections were not being held like today we are having the election. So, at that time the members of the Constituent Assembly they were elected by the provisional legislatures, those who were existing at that time. Provisional means provinces were there at that time, states were not there. So, their leader main members they appointed the Constituent Assembly members. So, because of that it ensured a fair geographical share of the members, because members they were covering from all the region of the country. Second, working of the Constituent Assembly, it was dominated by the Indian National Congress, which included a variety of political and regional groups of people. Many members they did not agree with the Congress. So, in social terms too, the Assembly represented members from different languages, different groups, caste, classes, religions, occupations. So Constituent Assembly, it worked in a very systematic, open and conscientious manner. That means mutual consent was being made by the Constituent Assembly. Whatever was being discussed, they were having a mutual consent, which gave a quality to the Constitution of India. The members, the drafting committee, some of the basic principles that were decided, and then a drafting committee under the chairmanship of B.R. Ambedkar, they prepared a draft constitution. Then the discussions were being made. The discussion of the draft constitution, it took place clause by clause. That means they covered every smaller concept. Clause means a distinct section of a document. That means small part of a document that was also being discussed. That means every point was being discussed in the by the drafting committee. The members of the drafting committee, they completed the work in about 114 days, and that spread over 3 years. That means 114 days that were covered by 3 years. That is 114 is not of a 1 year. So more than 2000 constitutional amendments were being made. Again and again the changes were being made by the members, and every document that was presented and every word that was being spoken in the Constituent Assembly, it was recorded and preserved. So these are called Constituent Assembly debates that are being recorded, and they have been printed in 12 bulky volumes. The debates, they provide the rational, that means thinking of every provision of the constitution, and they are used to interpret the meaning of the constitution. If somebody wants to learn about the meaning of the constitution, then he can read those bulky volumes. Now the preamble, it is called the guiding values. Guiding values means philosophy. So to understand the constitution of any country properly, we have to understand its philosophy, and that could be done by knowing the views that are the prominent leaders of constitution have been made. So the dream and the promise that were being made by the Mahatma Gandhi, B.R. Ambedkar, Jawaharlal Nehru, all those are being presented in your book. You have to just read them. Now let's read about the preamble. The philosophy of the constitution, that means preamble to the constitution, it reads like a poem on the democracy. It contains the philosophy on which the entire constitution has been built. As I have already told you, it provides a standard to examine and evaluate any law and action of the government, how government is working, and how the decisions are being have been taken. We can learn them from the philosophy, that is the preamble of the constitution, and to find out whether it is good or bad. So preamble is called the soul, and our preamble is the soul of Indian constitution. Now Indian constitution, it is inspired by the American model, which also is having a preamble. So that is why we are having our preamble. So the important terms that are used in Indian preamble are we the people of India, sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, justice, liberty, equality and fraternity. So you have to understand the main philosophical points that are a part of our preamble. So you write down those 1 marks definition in your book. That is like we the people of India means constitution, it draw up and enact by the people of India through their representatives. That means the people, those who are appointed as MLA or MPs, they work according to the people of India because they are our representatives. Sovereign means India is a free country and no external power or any other country can dictate the government of India to do any work. That means no external interference could be done in our working. Socialist means wealth is generated socially and it should be shared equally by the society. Secular means there is no official religion and all the religions are treated with equal respect by the country of the government. Democratic means we have adopted a form of government in which people elect their rulers and hold them accountable. That means they are accountable means they have to take the responsibility. They are going to work according to the needs of the people. Republic means the head of the state is an elected person and he or she is not having a hereditary position. Justice means the laws that are being written would not discriminate between the citizens on the basis of caste, religion, or gender, and the government would work for the welfare of the poor and oppressed so that the social inequalities are being reduced in the country. Liberty means citizens they are free to express their opinion and there is no unreasonable restrictions on their liberty. Equality means all the citizens are equal before law, irrespective of their differences in social and economic conditions. Fraternity means each citizen should respect the feeling of brotherhood and no one should treat a fellow citizen as an inferior. That means every citizen is like a brother, irrespective of the fact that he or she belongs to other religion or to lower caste or class. That class means money, that is poor person or a rich person. So these are a part of our constitution preamble that we have written. Now institutional design, that is the question arises why Indian constitution is both rigid and flexible. So our constitution, when it was been written, the constitution it embodies, that means it is having the values and philosophies into institutional arrangement. Institutional means the working of the government. So most of the Indian constitution is the details are being made how the working has to be done, and the constitution also declares whatever the arrangement has been made in a legal language. That means it is jurisdiction area has been decided and it cannot be changed. It is written in a legal way. So the Constitution of India is a highly detailed document that needs to be amended regularly. It is being amended to keep it up with the date, with the changing times. That means it is rigid when the working of the institution has to be done, but it is flexible when it comes to the point that certain changes have to be made with the change of time, then amendments have been made. So those who have drafted the Constitution of India, they thought it must be in the accordance with the people's aspirations and the changes of the society in the future. So the makers of constitution, they have made provisions for making such amendments to the constitution from time to time, and such changes are called constitutional amendments. So whatever the changes have been made in India, those come under the category of constitutional amendments. So in its working, that means three major aspects are there. It lays down the process for choosing person to govern the people, that is about the elections. So constitution has written the process, that is the procedure how a person is going to be elected, and that process is called the working of the elections, how the elections are being held. That is going to be our next chapter. We are going to learn about how the elections are held and how elections that are being held, it should be held in a democratic manner. Whether the elections those that are happening in a country, they are working in a democratic manner or not. Second, it defines who will have how much power to take the decision, and that distribution of power has been done between three organs, that is executive, legislature and judiciary. So they are the organs, and that working and the distribution has been written in the constitution, and it could not be changed. In our country, judiciary it works in an independent manner, but executive and legislature they work side by side. So it also puts limits to what the government can do by providing some rights to the citizens that cannot be violated, and those rights are called fundamental rights. And that is going to that is the last chapter of our book, that is fundamental rights. So the working of the government, the institutional design is covering all the work that has been written in the constitution about how the government is to be going to work, how the power is divided among the organs, and those work are they are rigid, they can't be changed. If any change has to be made, that has to be first debated, then discussions are being held, and only then certain changes are being made, and whenever such changes are being made, they are called amendments, and that is called constitutional amendments. Now this is last topic of this chapter. Hope you have understood the making of Indian Constitution. You have to cover up the question answers that are written at the back of your chapter. Some of question answers you could do in your book itself because they are MCQs, so you have to cover them in your book itself. The rest of the questions you have to do in your notebook. Thanks.